All right, folks, Mark here again, cooking the books, bringing the info. So I want to talk about sifting of wheat. In the book of Luke, I believe it's Luke 22:31, I believe. Don't quote me on the exact scripture, but I think it's Luke 22, verse 31. Jesus tells Simon Peter that the devil desires to sift you like wheat. What is sifting wheat? Sifting the wheat is a twofold process. First, there's threshing, then there's winnowing. Threshing is where wheat is thrown on the ground and it's beaten with what's called a flail. And you beat the wheat, you beat it. In beating the wheat, you're actually breaking up the shells, right? You're breaking up the little shells. Then winnowing is throwing it in the air. You throw it in the air, and just a slight gentle breeze will remove the shaft, the shells, remove all of the shaft, and the grain itself will be left. Well, so all the shaft is removed, and what is left is the actual grain for you to make food, to eat, whatever, to bake or whatever you're going to do with it. But the process of sifting wheat is, again, what you want to do is remove the shell, remove the outer shell, and get to the grain itself. That's so Jesus says Satan desired to sift you like wheat. Now that's analogy, right? It's an analogy, and what it means for you and I is that well, first let's back up the truck a little bit again, and then let me say this: in the scripture, this is something that is very important that we cannot overlook or overemphasize. We cannot overemphasize or underestimate this important aspect of the passage. It says Satan or the devil. If you read the NIV or you read the English translated, it says Satan or the devil desires, the request, ask. Satan has asked to sift you like wheat. Jesus says to Peter, the devil. So let's just talk like two guys at a bar having a drink, talking. Listen, the devil just asked me for permission to test you. That's what that scripture is translated in contemporary language. Two guys at a bar sitting down having a drink. Listen, chap, this dude just asked me for permission. He asked me for permission because I got to give him permission to test you, and I allowed him. I gave him the permission to test you. That is a powerful statement. The devil had to go get permission from God to test you, and God said, "Okay." If God allows, first, that tells me two things. Twofold. One, the devil can't do anything without God's permission. Two, if God permits it, God in his divine providence, right? Or prevenient grace, it's called prevenient grace or divine providence, already qualified you to pass that test, or else he wouldn't have allowed it. So the devil can't touch you unless he gets permission from God. And if God gives him permission to touch you, God also gave you grace to be able to withstand, endure, and pass that test, which is the touching, the sifting. Wow, amazing, powerful. Take that, just that alone, I could stop this video. If you let that alone, if you embrace that alone, we can end this video. But we're not going to end the video because I got more I want to say. But you got to understand, this is so powerful because what that teaches me and you, right, that no matter what we're going through today, no matter what adversity or difficulty, challenge that attacks and hits you right now, whatever you're facing right now in your life, no matter how challenging, I like the word challenging, no matter how challenging it may be, there had to be a sanction, an approval, a permission slip granted to Satan, the devil, the enemy, the adversary of our souls. There had to be a permission slip given to him by Jehovah Jireh, by the great Elohim, the El Shaddai. He had to get permission, folks. And if the challenge showed up at your front door and came into your home and is currently attacking you, rest assured that you've also been given the grace, the qualifications, the wisdom, the forbearance, the long suffering, the endurance, the strength to be able to pass that test. That is the most critical and most important part of that passage in the book of Luke. Second, I want to now go back to the threshing, the winnowing, and what that represents. Okay, so Peter was a man that was full of self-confidence, right? He had all this self-confidence, very self-assurance, very confrontational. And self-confidence is good, but what's the problem with that? The problem with self-confidence is the first word in that statement, or uh in that passage. The problem is the first word in that statement, self. Folks, when dealing with God, you can't have confidence in yourself. I know that sounds contradictory to society and what the world teaches, but God is always in contradiction to the world. Right? Everything about God is the opposite. There's a paradoxical relationship between God and us. Right? He tells us not to adulterate, we adulterate. He tells us not to kill, we kill. He tells you not to steal, we steal. So it is always that yin yang relationship. But let me just say this: Peter was a very self-assured, self-confident guy. Right? You know this by studying the scriptures. But that was the problem. You can't have self when dealing with the things like God. Self has to be, instead of self confidence, it has to be converted to God confidence. You cannot have confidence in yourself. And I know that sounds, again, counterintuitive. It probably sounds negative, but it's actually positive. You can't have self confidence. What we need to have is God confidence. Because if if I'm if I'm if I'm dealing with purely physical, if I'm speaking from a purely physical perspective, self confidence makes sense. But when you're talking about the spirit realm is uh, is outside of the physical realm. So you can't apply the laws in the physical realm in the spiritual realm. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's just not. And if you guys watch my videos, I'm a science guy. You know what I'm saying? I like my science, and I'm gonna use science to show you something. The speed of light in 3 dimensional. Hold on, haven't been exercising, so my back's kind of tight because I haven't been in the gym in a while. But let me just say this: the speed of light in the 3 dimensional realm is there's nothing faster than the speed of light, right? But if you go into fourth, fifth dimension and you start studying like the mental plane, on the mental plane, the speed of light is this. It's limited. No, it's not limited. Let me just say this: there are other entities that are faster than the speed of light in fifth, sixth, and seventh dimension. Where you talk in 3 dimensions, right? Because we exist in 3 dimensional reality, 3 dimensions, right? Length, width, and height, right? In our 3 dimensional realm, nothing is faster than the speed of light. But if you go into other dimensions, the speed of light is not the fastest. There's other entities that are faster than the speed of light. You see what I'm saying? Uh, Matter, there's nothing smaller than matter in our 3 dimensional realm. But if you go into other dimensions, there's astral matter or etheric matter, which is less dense than the matter in our realm. So it's smaller. That's crazy, right? So I say that to say, sorry guys, like I said, my body back kind of tight. I haven't been to the gym, but I say that to say that in when dealing with God, the laws that apply in our physical realm, it's nullified in spiritual realm. Self confidence cannot work in the spiritual dimension. What we need in the spiritual dimension is God confidence. And this is why God allows the devil to sift us. Because to sift you simply means to break away the outer shell, self-confidence, pride, ego, self-conceit, a pompous attitude, a high-minded, look at me, I'm the man, if I can't do it, no one can. That kind of attitude needs to be broken down. So that is the equivalent of the outer shell of the wheat. So the outer shell of the man is his pride, his ego, his pompous attitude needs to be broken, shattered, so that the true substance, life force within him can be manifested. And this is why God allows the devil to sift us like wheat. Because in the end, after the sifting process, because remember what Jesus said to Peter, after you have been redeemed, right? Go and strengthen your brethren. He said, I pray that your faith fail not, and after you recover, go strengthen your brethren. So after the sifting process, you are actually stronger than prior to the sifting. So after you're sifted, you're actually going to be stronger. You're going to be more powerful in the spirit sense and you can now do, you can be entrusted with the keys to the kingdom and work in God's kingdom. But you can't go into God's kingdom bringing self. Self has to be slayed, self has to be crucified, and that is the process and of the sifting. So even though the enemy, so even though the challenges might come to destroy you, should you have faith, should you hold on and trust in God and Jesus at this time, you will understand that after the sifting process is complete, you'll have the wheat, the essence of the wheat itself, which is what's necessary for you to become who you're supposed to become and do what you're supposed to do. So until next time, uh, like the video, share it, comment. You know what to do. Peace.